Okay, let's dive into this. If you look at modern software development today, it honestly feels like a total whirlwind. The constant drumbeat we hear is just move fast, build iteratively, and learn from your feedback as quickly as humanly possible. And look, Agile development completely shifted the way teams think about software delivery, right? It thankfully got us away from those massive, years-long, terrifying development cycles. But in the middle of all that speed, the endless sticky notes, and constantly changing requirements, a pretty massive misunderstanding has taken root. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly what that misunderstanding is, and we'll explore domain-driven design, a seriously powerful concept that acts as the ultimate bridge between your business and your code. So that brings us to a massive, fundamental question. With the rise of Agile, does this actually mean no design? Because we're all iterating constantly, a lot of teams have accidentally adopted this idea that upfront or even continuous design just isn't important anymore. They're terrified that design is going to slow them down, or that it means going back to those rigid, old-school waterfall planning phases where you write, a 300-page document before anyone even touches a single line of code. Well, the short answer, and domain-driven design makes this absolutely crystal clear, is no. Design still totally matters. In fact, when your software is supporting a highly complex business, thoughtful design is more absolutely crucial than ever. But here's the kicker. Design in this context doesn't mean some massive phase at the beginning of your project. In DDD, design is continuous. It's highly collaborative, and it grows right alongside the system as you get more feedback and actually learn about the business you're building for. Section 1, the big ball of mud. Oh man, the big ball of mud. It's a notorious industry term, and honestly, if you've been in software for a while, you might actually be wincing a little bit just hearing it. It perfectly describes a tangled software system where literally every part of the code depends on every other part. Think of a pristine, clean system architecture that has slowly, over time, become completely tangled like a giant plate of spaghetti. When teams just design on the fly without setting boundaries, this is naturally where the system ends up. And being stuck in that mud, it inevitably triggers this awful cascade of failures. First, step 1, a tiny, small change suddenly becomes incredibly risky because you have absolutely no idea what else you might break across the system. 2, because of that intense fragility, simple features start taking way longer than expected to build. And 3, ultimately, new developers just struggle. They join the team, they pull up the code, and they have literally no idea where the actual business rules live. Good continuous design is exactly what prevents this wildly expensive cycle of rework. Section 2, bridging business and code. Here's the truly crucial thing to wrap your head around. In software development, we are constantly juggling two completely distinct worlds. Over on one side, we have the problem domain. That's the real, messy business world filled with rules, goals, specific workflows, and constraints. On the exact opposite side, we have the solution domain, the purely technical world of code, databases, APIs, and infrastructure. The core goal of domain-driven design isn't just to make, pretty diagrams on a whiteboard. It's to deeply understand that business problem on the left and build a structural, rock-solid bridge to the technical solutions on the right. Section 3, maps and domain models. So what exactly is a domain model? Well, simply put, it's a simplified representation that captures the key business concepts, their relationships, and the core rules. But a really vital thing to remember here is that a domain model is not a perfect one-to-one copy of reality. Real life is just way too complex to capture every single detail. Instead, a truly useful model actually ignores things. It actively strips away the noise and focuses only on the specific elements that actually matter for the problem you are trying to solve right now. To really get this, just think about different types of maps. A road map is incredibly useful when you're driving, right? But it completely ignores elevation. A train map is perfect for public transport, but it totally ignores true geographical distance. A hiking map is essential for exploring trails, and a construction map is absolutely necessary for planning buildings. Every single one of these maps leaves out massive amounts of detail to drastically simplify reality, but each one is perfectly optimized for a very specific purpose. Domain models work the exact same way. Let's make this real. Imagine an online grocery business. You might think a shopping cart is just one universal thing, but within DDD, we look at different bounded contexts. So in the checkout context, the model focuses heavily on pricing, discounts, and taxes. But jump over to the warehouse context, and pricing doesn't matter at all. Over there, the model focuses on stock availability, picking, and packing. And for delivery, it's all about time slots and driver routes. So which model of the shopping cart is correct? Well, it depends entirely on the specific problem being solved inside that boundary. Because of this shifting context, domain modeling is absolutely not some solitary technical exercise where a developer hides in a basement. It is fundamentally a conversation to decide where those boundaries actually belong. Developers have to collaborate tightly with domain experts, the actual business stakeholders. Business knowledge shouldn't just be locked away in some siloed Google Doc or inside one person's head. The whole team has to decide together what to include in the model, what to ignore, and where those context boundaries belong. Section 4. Speaking the same language. When you get this right, a robust domain model gives the entire team shared words, what DDD famously calls a ubiquitous language. And that language absolutely must make its way directly into the code itself. Generic code uses all this technical jargon like data manager or process service, which completely hides the actual business meaning. But DDD code uses meaningful business language. Your code components are literally named order, delivery route, or inventory reservation. By using tactical patterns like entities and aggregates, you ensure that your business rules aren't just scattered to the wind, but live inside components that reflect reality. So let's take a step back for a second. Why does this level of design actually matter so much? Because without it, complexity just grows silently in the dark. If you don't deliberately shape your software around the business, it inevitably tangles itself right back into that big ball of mud we talked about earlier. Domain models ensure we actually understand the business, that we communicate clearly, and that we build software that actually solves the right problem. At the end of the day, we are not just programmers. We are problem solvers. Domain-driven design reminds us that great software isn't just about mastering the newest, shiniest coding language. When we truly understand the domain, model it tightly with the experts, and let that deep understanding actually dictate the shape of our code, we create systems that are adaptable and infinitely more valuable. So I'll leave you with this. Take a hard look at the project you're working on today. How much of your code base is actively hiding the very business it's supposed to support?